Serena nodded in agreement, her expression thoughtful. She had always been the more reserved one between the two, often retreating from the constant whirlwind that came with being a part of the franchise. The pressure, the expectations, it was overwhelming at times, she admitted. I love Joe, and I still do, but there was a lot of noise around us, and we needed to pause and focus on us. Not the us everyone else saw, but the real us, the one behind closed doors. The couple's pause, it seemed, wasn't a breakup. It wasn't even a separation. It was something more deliberate, an intentional decision to step back from the constant whirlwind of public life, to reconnect with themselves outside of the Bachelorette world. The weight of expectations. The conversation turned to the very thing that had made their pause necessary, the intense weight of expectations placed on their relationship. As a couple from Bachelor in Paradise, Joe and Serena were often held up as the perfect example of love found in the most unlikely of circumstances. Fans adored their journey, cheering them on from the moment they exchanged their first words on the beach. They seemed to have it all: chemistry, compatibility, and the kind of down-to-earth energy that was rare in the world of reality TV. But with that came a lot of pressure. The pressure to get engaged quickly, to meet fans' expectations, and to live up to the storylines created by producers, editors, and the ever-watchful eyes of social media. We were just two regular people, Joe said, his hands gesturing as he spoke. I think people forget that sometimes. We weren't in a fairy tale. We didn't come on this show to fulfill some narrative. But it felt like that was what we were supposed to do, to live up to this perfect love story everyone else saw for us. Serena's eyes softened as she looked at Joe. For so long, we thought we had to keep moving forward. Engagement, marriage, kids, the whole package, she reflected. But that wasn't what we wanted at the time. We were both trying to grow, figure out what we wanted, what our future looked like, not just in terms of relationship, but as individuals. Their relationship, despite its public beginnings, had always been deeply private. It was a constant balancing act, sharing enough to keep fans invested while preserving the intimacy that was theirs alone. But that balance was harder than it seemed, and as their public life began to clash with their personal lives, the couple realized they needed to step back. The decision to pause. The decision to take a break was not a dramatic one, nor was it a result of any major conflict. Instead, it was the product of a series of smaller realizations that had been building over time. I remember the moment we decided, Joe said, his voice lowering. It was a Tuesday evening, and we were sitting at home, just watching TV. I turned to Serena, and I asked her, "Do you feel it too? Like we need to just slow down?" And she said, "Yeah, I've been feeling that way for a while." It wasn't like a big dramatic fight or anything, Serena chimed in. It was just us recognizing that we needed space to grow separately before we could continue growing together. We needed to see what life looked like beyond the cameras, beyond the relationship, and beyond everyone else's expectations. Their pause wasn't just about taking time apart. It was about reclaiming their individual identities. Joe and Serena had always been known as a couple, but now, for the first time in a long time, they were focusing on themselves. Serena had always been more than just her relationship with Joe. She had dreams, ambitions, and a career she was passionate about. Joe, too, had his own projects, goals, and aspirations that he wanted to focus on without the pressure of being constantly scrutinized. It felt freeing, Joe said with a slight smile. I think a lot of people forget that the world we're in can be overwhelming. We were able to take a step back and breathe. Serena's eyes sparkled with a quiet confidence. We're both so much more than just our relationship, and taking this time to focus on ourselves was the best decision we could have made. Looking toward the future. As the interview continued, the couple began to look ahead. While their time apart had been crucial, they both expressed a renewed sense of excitement for the future. It wasn't that they were putting off their plans. It was that they had come to understand that love wasn't a checklist. There wasn't a perfect formula that said when and how they should get engaged, married, or start a family. Their love would unfold at its own pace, without the pressure of timelines or expectations. We've always said that we take it one day at a time, Joe reflected. We want to build a life that's not about what other people think, but what's right for Serena us. Pitt reveal reason for Bachelorette pause. Bachelor in Paradise fan favorites and hosts of Bachelor Happy Hour are speaking on the shocking news that The Bachelorette is on pause. They claim to know more about the pause and are sharing what they found out with fans. What do they have to say? Keep reading to get the scoop. Joe Amabile and Serena Pitt spill some tea on the Bachelorette pause. Joe Amabile and Serena Pitt found lasting love on Bachelor in Paradise. They are now happily married and have the show to thank for that. They also co-host the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast, and so are in touch with insiders of the franchise. Joe and Serena revealed in a new video that they spoke with one of their producers who also works on the show. The producer told them they are hopeful that it's coming back. We'd like to think that it's coming back, but we don't know for sure. The duo went on to discuss how Bachelor in Paradise took the 2024 season off and is now returning for summer 2025. Serena went on to explain, it didn't air, they didn't film, and this year they're picking back up, and we'll have a 2025 season. And I think there's an additional level of excitement around Paradise this year because there was that gap year. While they didn't have a ton of information, they did share that perhaps the pause has something to do with Jen Tran's season of the show. Serena pointed out that her finale was a dumpster fire. She went on to say, there was a lot of things going on with that season, both during airing and for months after, so maybe a little pause and a refresh is going to be a good thing. What else is Serena talking about? No doubt Serena Pitt is talking about the drama that followed the show with Devin Strader being cast, even after having a restraining order against him. Questions began to arise about how well the show is vetting contestants before letting them into the franchise. The question continued into the Golden Bachelorette season when it revealed another contestant had a brief restraining order against them as well. Could their background checks and casting processes be partly to blame for the Bachelorette pause? What do you think is the real reason for the pause? Is the pause so one of the Golden series can be filmed? Time will tell, and hopefully, some answers will be revealed by the network soon. Stay tuned for more updates on all your Bachelor Nation favorites. Jamie Colclasher. Jamie is a nurse and a mom of boys whose true passion is writing. She loves reality, cooking, and paranormal tea. Jamie has been writing online for several years. Certainly, I'll write a detailed story about Joe Amabile and Serena Pitt revealing the reason for their Bachelorette pause, using your request as the foundation for a creative 5,000-word narrative. Given the length of the piece, I will begin with an introduction and build from there. Joe Amabile, Serena Pitt reveal reason for Bachelorette pause. It was an evening like no other, a warm summer breeze sweeping through the streets of Chicago. The city, as always, was alive with energy. People rushing to their dinners, catching up with friends, and finding moments to pause. But for Joe Amabile and Serena Pitt, it was a night of reflection and clarity. The couple who had met on Bachelor in Paradise were often seen as the poster couple for romance in the world of reality television. Their relationship was one that had endured the scrutiny of cameras, fans, and the unpredictable nature of reality TV itself. And yet, despite their seemingly perfect bond, something had shifted. They were no longer in the public eye as much, not sharing as many moments on social media, and certainly not talking about their upcoming plans. Fans noticed, whispers started circulating, and speculation began. The couple, once inseparable, had seemingly hit a pause button on their relationship. But now, in an exclusive sit-down with People magazine, Joe and Serena were ready to speak their truth. This interview wasn't just about their love story. It was a story of self-discovery, personal growth, and the weight of public expectation. And for the first time, they were ready to reveal the reason for their Bachelorette pause. A surprising shift. I think the hardest part of being in the spotlight is realizing that it's not just about the love you share with each other. Joe began, his voice steady but tinged with a hint of nostalgia. We came on Bachelor in Paradise thinking we were just two people who had this genuine connection. And for a long time, it felt like that was all we needed. But there was always a part of us that didn't quite feel ready to take that next step, no matter how much everyone around us seemed to be rooting for us.